Hi everyone, this is a video to go over some things that I think will help you as you work on exercises 1.15 through 1.20. I'm going to show you how I used the protonotation of Gallo's pole and translate that into musical notation, put bar lines in, and then create two different versions of the piece, one with quarter note as the beat and one with an eighth note as the beat. Okay, so first of all, here is a just your regular proto-notation of hangman, hangman, slow down for a while. And this one, you can see that there are the beats are regularly spaced at every dot. You can't see the dots anymore because I wrote over them. And then the meter of this song is a duple meter. Hangman, hangman, slow down. That is to say, the music, the phrases, really lends itself to be counting as 2 and not 3, for example. So hangman, hangman, slow down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. So because it's in duple meter, I've created a longer line at the accented beats. So the first beat is accented, and then the third beat is accented to notate where where beat 1 would be. So you see that the longer line right there next to hang, that's beat 1. The shorter line next to man, that's beat 2, and so on. Okay, so once we figured out that that meter, we can start by putting notes down. And here I have an example of translating the rhythm into notes, where I'm using a quarter note as the duration of the beat. So you can see that hang, for example, the word hang lasts 1 beat. Okay, so here in notation, I'm using a quarter note to represent it because a quarter note in this particular version of it that I'm writing is used to represent the length of 1 beat. Whereas you can see slow, for example, the word slow stretches over 2 beats. Okay, so it's a line that lasts 2 beats. So I'm using a half note because 2 quarter notes together equals a half note. So a half note is, for this piece here, it's equal to the length of 2 beats. That's why I'm using a half note. Also for while, the very last word in this excerpt, you can see that it lasts, in my transcription of it anyway, the word while lasts 3 beats. Slow down for a while. Right. So I've used a half note tied to a quarter note. So a tie is this slur, is this arc, sort of a big smiley face, big smile, that connects these two notes together. And if you want to read more about it, about ties, the book talks about ties in page 23, but it's basically a way for us to extend the duration of a note by combining different note values. Okay. Here we have the same thing, only now I've added bar lines because we now we know that it's in duple meter, that there are 2 beats per bar. So I pretty much just used all the longer beat marks that represent beat 1 of each bar, and I just copy them straight down to my musical notation, so they become bar lines. Right? So in this way, we can clearly see that there are 2 beats per bar, and a quarter note gets a beat. Because of this, I also added a time signature of 2-4, just to refresh your memory. The top number is a 2, which means there are 2 beats per measure, and the bottom number is a 4, which means a quarter note gets a beat. Right? So this is what that looks like. Now for a different version of this piece, here it's a version of it in 2/8, which means still there are 2 beats per measure. That doesn't change because we're still using that same song. But instead of using a quarter note to a beat, I'm using an eighth note to a beat. Right? So instead of 2 quarter notes for that first bar, hangman, I now have 2/8 notes. Right? But everything else is written in the same proportion. For example, the word slow, which lasts 2 beats, now is represented by a quarter note, because in this version of it, the 8th note gets a beat, and so we need a note that lasts 2 beats, which in this case, this will be a quarter note. Okay. And finally, here's another version of it. It's the same version in 2/8, only I beamed the 2/8 notes together. And usually when you have 2/8 notes together back to back, and they are in a piece of music, and they're part of the same beat, you would beam them. That is, you would take off the flags, and instead of using flags, you would write a straight horizontal line that connects the two. And that's just an easier way visually to see that these 2/8 notes belong to the same beat. But here's the exact same version as the last slide that I showed you. This one is still in 2/8.